Do it.
All right, so everything sounding good on your end?
Yeah, it sounds good to me.
Well, let's just go in cold today.
All right.
Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to ShiftLess. ShiftLess? ShiftLess. ShiftLess. Where all we ever do is talk bicycles and Bradford's almost clean-shaven face. That's a change-up, right?
This is definitely a change up, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I went and got my hairs cut yesterday.
Oh, haircut too, huh?
Yeah, I got my hairs cut. It's time to start the process over again.
All right.
Just typically shear it.
All right. So when you do these transformations, do you have an end goal in mind, or does things just, is this an organic situation?
I go to the girl that cuts my hair, and I'm always unprepared. I sit down and she goes, well, "What are we doing today?" And it's literally like I haven't even thought about it because I don't think about it. And I go, I don't know. What do you think? And she's always like, "It's your hair." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I really don't care. It's just going to grow back." So I'm like, just make it a little shorter and cleaner and then knock this down. And she started cutting the sides, and I was like, just take it all off, but leave the scruffy because Paula likes the 5 o'clock shadow kind of thing.
She likes a little scruff, huh?
Yeah. So that was it. I went and got it cut yesterday morning. I had an eventful day yesterday.
Oh, I'm all ears.
Yesterday was my son's 21st birthday, which was
Happy birthday, Gage.
pretty wild. Pretty interesting little part of life, you know?
In what way?
Just, it hit me like a sack of rocks, you know?
Interesting.
Like, my kid's 21. And then it hit me even harder when I realized how much more he has his shit together at 21. I mean, I'm pretty certain I didn't even have my shit as together as him when I was 41.
I'm not going down your path, but yeah, I was 30 before I even started to pretend to be an adult in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And my kids got their shit together at 20, 19.
Yeah.
And
you know, I think there's hope. There's hope, you know, in these young kids. Paula and I it was just cool, you know. We raised a kid that's not an asshole. And like I told him last night, I go, "You're 21. My job's done. I clocked out. Like, you're on your own, you know."
Right.
I'm not going to push advice on you anymore. I'm not going to, you know.
I'll be honest with you. I get thrown off by the folks that are always throwing stuff out there about kids today not having their shit together. Or, man, hey, I mean, nothing's universal, but most of the kids, and kids is very relative, most of the people under 30 these days that I come across,
they're sensible
to
some extent.
They got more sense than my crew ever did.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think
my current crew too.
But I think there's a bigger swath of people that are just don't have their shit together and people that do, as opposed to when we were children. Like, there's so much nonsense in the world now that didn't exist when we were kids, and I feel like the majority of kids just didn't have their shit together when we were kids. You know, like, the kids that had their shit together were not respected. Like, they were...
Oh, no doubt.
You know,
they were nerds. They were geeks.
Nerds, yeah. And now it's, like, cool to be a nerd.
It's cool to be a geek.
Yeah.
And I have new issues with that. Mm. But more geeks need to be on bicycles.
Yeah.
I will say that.
And designing bikes.
You think so?
Yeah, for certain.
What do we need new for bike design? Come on, everything's been done, hasn't it?
Yeah. You know, I was talking to Caleb yesterday, R.I.P. Miss you, Caleb.
He's not in a better place.
No. Speaking of which, somebody's got to work for the man. Is that who you were talking about earlier?
Yeah.
Is that was your reference? Okay. I thought you were talking to me. I was like, I didn't get
No.
it. I
I
didn't
was,
get it
talking,
at
I, was,
all.
I was talking about Caleb.
Yeah.
Does it make more sense now?
Yes, I'm sorry. I hadn't had a single sip of coffee yet. And I said, I think, and this was a really rapid fire opinion that probably is not correct, but I think if we fast forward about 10 years, I think gearboxes are going to be where a lot of people are settled out. I mean, sure, there's still going to be derailleurs. How about this? I'll rephrase. In 10 years, there's going to be far more gearboxes than there are today. And not just Pinion. I think other people are going to jump on that bandwagon. I think Shimano and SRAM will eventually have a gearbox.
It'll trickle down from the e-bikes.
Yeah. I think you're going to have one of these ridiculous standards that we have, in the future will be this exact cutout or almost like a bottom bracket that frames are built around that you can put a gearbox in and they can basically be interchangeable. Not from an e-bike standpoint, just from a geared bike.
No, I follow what you're saying.
That's what I think, but I don't know.
I think it'll be at the hub, but maybe it'll be a...
Well, the internal hub has already kind of ran its course. We've had the Nexus and...
Well, and that's what I'm saying. So, but they all kind of work roughly the same way.
Yeah.
If there's a new technology that makes them more practical and durable and affordable...
But the problem is, then you're putting...
Internal.
Then you're putting all your weight in the rear of the bike.
And lighter weight. That's what I'm getting. That's what that next level of technology at the rear hub. Not what's there now.
They have a roll-off SL, don't they? The light one. It knocks off like 100 or 200 grams.
Okay. When an internally geared hub is twice the weight of an existing hub and 1/10 the weight of an existing internally geared hub, that's what I'm saying. The technology will go somehow or another go to that.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll all be carbon fiber, reinforced carbon fiber with titanium threading or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, and tell me we don't need to go there if you don't want to talk about it. But probably people are waiting to hear your BT Epic story and travels.
No glory.
And
no glory.
I think we need to address that on the front end.
Okay. I got sick. I was the podcast we did on Wednesday. We're sitting out here, and I had coveralls on, and I made the mistake of wearing flip-flops, and I was unseasonably cold. Should have known then. I had a low-grade headache that started the night before, which is not a normal occurrence for me because I stay uber hydrated. And this was like a tension, dehydration headache kind of thing. When we left here, Andrew and I went and changed out the AC compressor in Gage's car, and I was just borderline achy. Plus, I had to stand under the car, and because Andrew's not the same height as I am, so, and he was the main guy,
right?
So we adjusted the car to his height, and so I'm standing under the car doing this, and
that's a neck crook to the left.
Yeah, and I was just aching. And I just felt under...
suboptimal.
Yes. And then when I left from there, I came home, and Velo called me, or texted me and said, your frame's here. And I was like, hell yeah. It was Wednesday. We were leaving Thursday morning.
Right.
So I went up there and built my bike up, or Tyler did it, and I just kind of hovered and assisted. And was kind of getting amped up, and then Thursday morning, I put all my stuff together Wednesday night, and Thursday morning woke up, the boys showed up, I was ready to go. I was standing at at the bed of my truck with all of my stuff out there. Thanks to Paula. Paula helped tremendously. Got in the truck and just, I didn't feel good the whole way up there. Just not, I didn't feel sick. I just felt suboptimal,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
To the point where I told Doug, I said, hey, do you have any ibuprofen? Which, if you don't know me, you don't know how odd that is. Like, I literally will, Paula used to get mad at me all the time because I go, God, I have a headache. And she'd be like, take some ibuprofen. I'm like, no. And I just don't like to take that stuff. So I took some ibuprofen and I sat in the back seat. So I was just kind of just hanging out. And we got up there Thursday night, hung out for a little bit. I had, I think, 2 beers. Went to bed. I was in bed like 10 o'clock, which is also not my usual. Next day we woke up, hung out for a while because it was a lot. The weather was amazing. Like, it got down into the 40s at night. We got up and we went riding around 11 o'clock. Did a little pre-ride, and I felt pretty good. But then as soon as the ride was over, everything just went. My heart rate was pretty high. In fact, on one of the so there's a climb that happens at like mile 40 in the race.
Okay.
And this is the part we normally pre-ride the last loop of the race, which is about 8 or 9 miles. And that climb is where it begins because you come out of the campground. So you back up. The beginning of the race, you leave from the campground. There's a big, long climb to go into single track. And you're on single track for about 40-ish miles. And then you come back through the campground and you go on the exit road to the campground. And it's a paved climb it's even substantial when you're fresh.
But after 40 miles?
After 40 miles, it's really a dick kicker. So we did that, and then you go into single track. Well, I saw my heart rate hit 187 on that.
Okay.
So I don't think 190 for my max heart rate is unrealistic. So we did the pre-ride, and like I said, I felt pretty good. I was consciously saving some matches. I didn't really light anything up, didn't go super hard or anything. Rode for like an hour and 15 just to kind of open up the legs a little bit, and then got back to the cabin, and we went and got something to eat. We went into town and we're sitting outside. I don't know if I was underdressed or I just was already starting to get sick, but I got cold and could not warm up. Like, I was just bone chilled. Finally got warmed up. We went to the grocery store, got some groceries, and went back to the house, and I started cooking. I was cooking for both of our cabins. It was like 16, 17 people. And I felt okay. I just felt, the whole time I'm thinking, it's just my allergies are just affecting me, And the whole time I'm optimistic. I'm going to wake up tomorrow, I'm going to be ready, and I thought, I hadn't ridden in 2 days. Today was my day to kind of open up my legs, get ready for tomorrow. I've been doing all the right things. I had chills and sweats on Friday night. Woke up probably 15 times. Other than that, I slept like a rock. I was in bed at like 9:30. Woke up 7 o'clock. I had already put all my stuff together. I got up and I was going to have a honey bun, and I was going to have some chocolate milk. I'd bought some chocolate milk. Totally forgot about it. Drank some coffee, ate my honey bun, was sitting on the couch. Everybody's talking about this and this, and a conversation just drones over you when you don't feel good.
Yep.
And it was the hardest thing for me to do, to come to grips with and to voice. I go, guys, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to make it. I said, it's not smart. I'm not going to have a good day. There's no way. And they're like, man. And they could tell I didn't feel good. And I went back to bed. Like, I kind of waited until everybody was, rolling out. I went back to bed and I slept until I didn't wake up. Well, I was awake when the cannon went off for the start, and then I fell asleep like right after that. And I didn't wake up till like 12:30, and I was in bed all day. Like, I got up to pee and get water and get some chocolate milk. I did have an appetite, which was weird. But then I went back to sleep that night. I stayed in bed the whole day, sleeping off and on, and then went back to sleep that night. And then the next day I woke up, I still felt eyeballs hurt, ears hurt, throat not like bad, not like sore throat, I wouldn't say, just like drainage maybe. But same low-grade headache, same low energy.
Glory hole throat, is that what you're saying?
Vic Dean. And took some more. I mean, I'd been taking ibuprofen. Back up Saturday, I did take ibuprofen and Tylenol, like oscillating. But it wasn't until Monday evening that I really kind of came out of my hole. And I still haven't ridden. I'm planning on riding after the podcast today. So, I depressed is the word.
Understandable.
But I made the right decision. I was going to have a shit ride anyways, and I knew that I was just going to ride like 10 miles and turn around and come back to the cabin, and I was going to be in worse shape. But there was that little part of me that was like, maybe if you get on your bike and sweat it out,
That's for hangovers. That's not for sinus infections.
Yeah, I know. I
works great for hangovers.
I know. I was just thinking, man, maybe if I just go out and ride, everything will open up and I'll be fine.
Maybe, or maybe you would have made it tremendously worse.
Yeah.
And I'm going to jump in here real quick.
Go for it.
Definitely, there's more to talk about on this, but on the front end of this, I want to give actually a huge kudos to you, because I know, particularly in the endurance cycling realm, and when you have a bunch of your buds around you like that, it's real easy to get caught up in the tough it out, push through it, rub some dirt on it mode.
Yeah, but a 5-hour race is not the place to do it, kind of.
Well, and that's the kudos part. Yeah. You recognize that.
Yeah.
A lot of people, look, there's still a lot of...
I'm pretty mature.
There's a lot of bravado and macho-ness, and macho is not a gender-specific term.
No.
Related to endurance cycling, where embrace the suck, push through it.
Yeah. There's a time and a place for that.
There is a time and a place for it, but not everyone. It's tough to distinguish that a lot of the time. So some people get overly simplistic and just go, "I'm going to push through everything."
Dude, it was a super tough decision for me, because at the same rate, I was more ready for this race than I've ever been.
And then that's what I'm saying. It's again, I know that's not the outcome you wanted by any stretch of the imagination, and it would have been. I'll be honest. I wouldn't take it to the level of shocked. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been surprised if you had tried to push through it, I guess is what I'm saying.
It was not going to be fun. I mean...
And that's why we ride bikes, for fun, right?
Yeah, and I don't know if I said it exactly this way, but my whole goal this year was to go and do the race and not suffer the whole time.
You did mention that.
Yeah, and that's why I was, happy that I was in as good a shape as I was in. It's because I was like, yeah, I mean, it's going to hurt, but I'm not going to just be behind my gear the whole time and struggling and suffering. And then you throw sickness on there, and it's like, well, that just negates everything, because now I'm going to be just suffering my heart rate. So when I was cooking Friday night, I was like, God, I'm burning up. And I looked down, and my heart rate's 110.
just
while
hanging
I'm
out in the
cooking.
cabin.
Yeah. And I was like, this is not good. So, I don't know. And it was even sadder because I have no plans to return next year. You know, it's not even like, well, I'll come back next year and get it. Because I'm planning on being rat next year.
Okay.
So,
Well, I mean, things evolve. And,
Yeah.
I mean, how long's BT Epic been there?
at least 10 years. What a great event. Still just a great event. Although I didn't get to attend any of the festivities, unfortunately. Just like I said, I was in bed Friday night to Sunday morning when we packed up and left. So,
Yeah. And I'm sorry things didn't work out for you.
yeah, I mean,
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
shit happens.
Shit happens. I think, again, that's almost a mature attitude,
Look-
which is completely shocking. What the hell is that?
Need to see if we can use that picture.
Who is that?
That's Justin Helpenstill.
Oh, that's Justin?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the bonfire post-race.
Okay.
That is a hell of a bonfire.
It looks like railroad ties and pine trees.
I think there's from what I saw just driving by, there was entire tree trunks, like 2-foot diameter tree trunks
Yeah.
in there.
Yep. That's a big old
It
fire.
was a big fire.
So that's a picture of theirs.
No, Tyler took that.
Tyler took
Tyler
that.
Hancock.
All right.
So-
Yeah. Message him and see if we can use that for the cover of this week's episode.
Okay, we'll do. It was a slower course this year. I don't know
What makes it a slower course?
just the
I mean, is it a different route?
no
Just conditions?
the conditions. The trail that we rode was a little looser. There was more leaves on the trail, like hiding stuff.
Yeah. Didn't you say you were shooting for sub 5?
That was my goal. I don't know that it was attainable.
I saw Adam did 6.
That's where I was getting. So even the section that we rode, I told you when you come back through the park or the campground, there's gravel that's in this parking lot that's next to the low water crossing. Well, they had regraded it or brought in fresh gravel so it's thick, right? And then we go climb the road and you turn onto this gravel road, and you're on this gravel road. It's kind of a riser almost the whole time, where you're just either slowly climbing or leveled out and then climbing and then leveling out. There may be a little bit of reprieve where you get some downhill, but they had re-graveled that road as well, and it was noticeably slower than it's been in the past. And then in the trail was slower. Like I said, I only rode the last section, but it had more leaves. The ground, the dirt was looser and not as hard pack, you know. And I even told Adam when we pre-rode on Friday, I said, I'm going to go ahead and call it. The course is slower this year. And everybody that I heard from after the race, people were texting me, checking on me and stuff, said the course was slower this year. I was slower this year, sorry. Adam just didn't have his best race, to hear him say it. He said about halfway through he kind of let up and just couldn't get back in it. So, but I mean, still 6 hours is respectable.
I wasn't knocking 6 hours. I was just equating that to your sub 5 goal.
Yeah, well, it was a goal. I'm not
I
saying
get
it. I'm not saying
it.
it was attainable.
I understand.
But,
I understand.
what they say?
It's a reference.
What they say? Aim for the moon, and you might hit a star, or what is it?
Aim for the stars, you might make the moon, or I don't know.
know.
Get the fuck out of bed and do something.
Yeah. Yeah, like a floth to the maim,
For some reason now I'm thinking of a flock of seagulls. I don't know.
But the weather was glorious. That's the best thing I can say. And that area is just so pretty. I mean, just sitting on the cabin, on the porch, and drinking coffee and looking at the, dare I say, mountains.
It is mountains.
It is. But not Colorado mountains,
Okay.
But it's just beautiful, beautiful. And the trees are starting to turn maybe a little bit up there. I took very few pictures.
Well, if there were leaves on
the leaves aren't really turning here because of fall. They're leaves on the ground because we've had so much drought.
Man, but I will tell you what. I rode Denton mountain bike trail yesterday.
I want to talk about that too.
Amazingly in good shape, except for the new section of trail. Oh my god! But I was blown away. It's like I expected this to be a dusty, cracked mess.
Was it not cracked?
No.
Huh.
Quite frankly, it looked like somebody may have been spraying it down with water. I don't know. It was really weird.
That's that trail is a really fun trail. But when it first opened, I was like, this is just, I think we've discussed this before.
Yeah, we've talked about it before.
Yeah. But I really like how it kind of found its own flow. Like the single track kind of established out of double track. I don't know if that was the intent from the get-go, but it worked out brilliantly.
I think it was, quite frankly.
Either way, whether it was calculated or it was just
it worked. It did work out. Now it does need some maintenance. It needs some McClouding for where it's gullying in that single track. Yeah. So you got to carve out the sides a little bit.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, it's got a nice groove and a nice flow to it. And no, it's not. It's not the most gorgeous, beautiful piece of technical single track out there, but it's not a bad way to.
No, but it's fun.
Put 5 miles on the bike.
Yeah. So my hot take is, it's not worth my time to drive to it.
But if it's along the way while you're riding.
But we have incorporated into many rambles. And
yep. It's a perfect ramble. Side piece.
Yeah. The only thing that I find absolutely excruciating is they have a mile marker every 10th of a mile.
All right. So now
it's brutal.
So
you ever done something where you have to do it for 2 minutes? Or did you ever get in trouble when you were a kid and you had to hold books out for like a minute?
No.
You never did anything like that? No. And it seemed like time passed so fucking slow. Can you equate that to anything else in your life? Where you're like, I've never realized that a minute is so long in that context. It's the same thing when you're riding that trail.
What, they have them every 10th of a mile or something?
Every 10th of a mile.
Okay, so
it's intended as a multi-use trail, and
it's not. It's supposed to be mountain bike only.
Is it?
Yeah.
People hike on it.
But it's
supposed to be super beginner friendly. I think that's the main thing.
That part I will not disagree with.
Yeah.
But I still think mile markers every 10th of a mile is overkill. But we won't. So now there is a new section of trail. I think they call it the Northwest Trail. I had no idea it was there. I came across it.
It's like an inner loop, right?
No, that's an old new piece.
Oh.
Now there's a new piece.
Oh, okay.
So it's at the very top, and they call it the Northwest Loop. And basically, it's where you went to the northernmost point and did the hairpin turn after the road and started coming back. So now there's this conflibrated intersection.
Conflibrated.
There's this 3-way, maybe 4-way, maybe 5-way intersection with a blue sign kind of stuck off to the side in the woods.
Not a word.
It's a Kevin word. It works for me. I think it conveys the thought process.
That one's going in the quiver. Okay, sorry. I'm a wordsmith. Sorry, I like words.
So there's this. I think it's supposed to be a 3-way intersection, but there's stuff beaten down all around it. And there's this blue sign that says something about Northwest Trail. Mm-hmm. And there's an arrow to the right with bicycle on it, and there's an arrow to the left with a hiker on it, and something's 1.2 miles and something's points. I don't. It's a very confusing sign.
So what you're saying is there's 2 different loops that spur off from that point.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
It's very unclear what the intent of the signage is.
Yeah.
But what's even more unclear is you get to this intersection, and there's kind of a trail that goes slightly backwards and off to the right. Mm-hmm. Another piece of trail that kind of goes slightly backwards and off to the left. And then the trail kind of goes straight and then curves to the right real hard.
The original trail.
I don't think that's...
Well, how did you get to this spur right here?
Well, following the original trail. Okay. And then it gets to this conflibrated intersection. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Conflibrated.
With, let's say, 5 points going off in different... And you can't tell what's the original trail because everything's... They've got it mowed down and beaten down and cleared out, and spokes going off. It's like a hub, yeah. But an unintentional hub. Whoever marked that spot, it was crystal clear in their head how it worked. But anybody that's not familiar with it, it's a clusterfuck. Okay.
Yeah.
And then so where the sign is, it's set back and it's telling the bikes to go right. But the question is, am I supposed to go right to this one that's backwards, or am I supposed to go right to the one that's in front of it? Because there's 2 trails that go off to the right there. And then is that a loop that either way you end up back at this hub? And that was the assumption I was kind of going on. It looks like this is going to be a 1.8 mile loop.
Yeah.
And even if I choose the wrong one, I think it's going to come right back here.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't. I'm not sure where it went, and I'm not sure.
So you didn't do it?
I did it.
Yeah. But you didn't end up back there at the same spot?
I did not end up back there at that hub.
Did you go through a wormhole?
Again, I'm not sure what the intent was and what each of these pieces actually did. And then when you get out, here was the confusing part. So this is a blue mark trail. The main trail is marked with green signage, and the mileage markers are green.
Okay.
And then the other new section you were talking about, the center section, is marked as a red trail. It's got red sign. Now, I haven't ridden the interior yet, but that was crystal clear. Here's the center loop.
Yeah.
Well, the blue loop is the northwest loop.
Okay.
So it's got blue signage. I saw the mileage mark, the 1/10 of a mileage markers going up and down on the same loop, or what I thought was the same loop. And I saw a 0.8 mile marker 3 different times that was never the same 0.8 mile marker. It was a conflibrated mess. And then on top of it, there were the trail multiple times split around trees. It's like, why is there a left line and a right line? I mean, not big trees, but big enough where, okay, we can't, probably over the 4-inch diameter, you can't cut them down, or whatever their threshold is. But it was plenty wide on both sides to go left or right. So why is it splitting the tree here? This is stupid as hell. But the way it's laid out, we'll talk about wormholes now. Let's say we got into a time machine.
Oh God! I love this thought process.
Back in the days, when I'm going to throw some names out here, not to disparage anyone, but just to set a reference point. Shadow, Tate, and Mac. Back in the days when they were building trails to just get as much mileage out of the tiniest piece of land they had to use.
Tree gates.
You can reference where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
All 3 of them made excellent pieces of trail here and there, but they also had some sections that were less
desirable,
suboptimal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, like let's scream down this hill and turn 90 degrees to the left.
If you take their worst parts of just trying to create extra mileage and threw them together and shook them up in a jar and threw it out,
Yahtzee,
in that piece of land that you're familiar with a Denton, there's not any terrain to work with. There's not a lot.
There is a limited palette out there.
So just to zigzag back and forth across a cow pasture like Mac used to do. Or to do this weird tree gate thing, like Shadow used to do, or well, this is what makes this technical, like Tate used to do.
Is that what it felt like? Is it felt like they were trying to compress as much mileage in such a small piece of property?
That was my takeaway.
Yeah.
Somebody was trying to say they ended up with 1.8 miles when they should have had 0.4 miles.
Yeah.
That's my takeaway from it. That said, I may have just been completely following the trail incorrectly as well.
Yeah.
Because it was one of those. It's like, oh, here's some branches laying down across this. So somebody was going this way, but they don't want you going that way. And I couldn't reference.
It sounds like every time I ride Corinth. Can't ever figure out where I'm going.
I say that I haven't been on Corinth in years. It used to be a staple of ours. We used to do regular weeknight stuff out there.
It boggles my mind because there's people that know that trail like the back of a ham, and then I go out there and I just...
Do you know Ham's back?
Ham is back? I go out there and I just ride until I get dizzy, and I'm like, okay, I've had enough. But I can't... I don't know the layout of that trail, but I know quite a few people that they can just ride that trail seamlessly, and they know exactly where they're going. But that trail is a just spider web of just so
well, and that's what this section of this looked like.
Yeah,
I'm guessing maybe somebody had been.
Well, you hit the nail on the head at the very beginning when you said the person that designed this knew exactly what the intention was.
Yeah,
and they thought it was crystal clear.
Yeah,
and that.
We all fall into that one.
Yeah, sometimes that's just exposure. Sometimes that's taking yourself out of the process and going, if I didn't know anything, how is this going to look to somebody else? And the other part is there's a learning curve. People are going to ride it and they're going to go, oh, I see. And it may take 2 or 3 times out there. And then it's going to become second nature. But there needs to be some happy medium. But also, you alluded to this too, a lot of people get enamored with making as many miles as possible out of as small of a parcel, where they need to just create fun trail and not worry about mileage unless they're incentivized, unless they're getting city money based on mileage or something.
I mean, it's
because you know that Shadow builds trail and he gets paid per mile. That's his current business model.
I don't know how that works, but okay, that's fine.
That being said, he cut Canyon Falls. Have you ridden Canyon Falls?
Not yet. It's on my. It's definitely on my to-do list.
It's not a technical trail at all.
I guess hypothetically speaking, we could have thrown that into all or nothing too.
Yeah,
we could have.
It's a fun trail. I would give you one caveat though. There's a bridge that used to just be a platform, like almost like think of a dock, it's just I don't even know what you call it. It's just 2x4s going across.
Sure.
And somebody came out there less than 6 months ago and put a railing, and the railing
it's too narrow for.
It's like I can fit through it on my Fargo and on my single speed. But for people that run 780 bars, I'm not going to make it. It's got to be. It's probably 30 inches wide.
Understood.
But other than that, it's a fun, flowy trail,
Understood.
And now you can get, if there's no construction, you can get across right there and then ride that service road, that construction service road that they've cut, which is what we've been doing. It's fun.
For the time being.
And the backside of Knob Hills has been mowed.
Okay.
If you know, you know.
I know.
We went through there a week. 2 weeks back to back.
Yeah.
And 1 week there was weeds up to your chin. Oops. And driftwood all over the trail.
Yeah.
Next week.
No, well, that's what I was talking about. Once the equestrians, the temperatures go down and they get into their mode, they knock out a bunch of shit. But they don't do it in the heat of summer.
Yeah, well, and I get that. It makes sense. But there didn't seem to be any equestrian traffic. It looked like maybe it was preparation. But.
Yes, that would be my guess. But I'm just, it's a jump to conclusions, Matt. But and I do so. Yeah, let me qualify things a little bit, because I know it's going to sound like I was busting somebody's balls about that trail layout. I definitely appreciate the efforts of all of our, and there is a greater than zero chance that I just took a wrong turn of the intended use of the trail, and didn't follow it correctly. So if nothing else, my lesson potentially to whoever was involved in the layout of the trail is maybe make the signage work a little bit better to lessen confusion, and maybe everything you put together, maybe it works fantastically going a different direction from what I did, or in a different sequence from what I did. It may work flawlessly.
Yeah.
I didn't find it if that's the case. And I mean, again, I saw a 0.8 mile sign 3 different times. That was a different sign each time. So it's like something's not working the way it's supposed to. So that I'm probably gonna try to go out there again tomorrow, and
maybe somebody got overheated.
I'm gonna try to go out there tomorrow, and if nothing else, make sure our all or nothing riders know how to.
Oh, you're running all or nothing through there? Mm-hmm. Through that section as well?
No.
Okay.
The intent is for them to stay on the green trail.
You might want to put some Spinistry arrows.
Well,
or there's still arrows at North Shore. You could go borrow those.
I'm not. Here's the.
Sorry, not sorry.
Proud of yourself. Here, you're going to milk that one for all it's worth, aren't you? I don't.
They're still there.
I understand. So here's the issue with Spinistry arrows. And this is why I need to go back out there. At the moment, I don't even know where to put a Spinistry arrow, because I don't know from that intersection how you stay on the original primary trail.
It should be on trail forks. It should be on something.
No, because the new stuff won't be on there.
Well, if you're following the pre-existing trail, it should be pretty clear.
I don't think it is now. I think that where the trail turned there,
they redirected everything.
I think so.
Oh, I'd have to go out there and check.
That's why I'm going out there tomorrow.
Yeah,
that is what I'm thinking. To clarify, now I did look at my Strava to see where it differentiated from
previous track,
the original trail.
Yeah.
And I see where my track went off of that, but I'm not able to see exactly what that looks like at that intersection I was talking to you about.
Well, hold up. I'm still trying to wrap my head around this. So you're riding the existing trail, the pre-existing trail, and you get to this new...
Okay.
Hold up. I'm asking a question.
All right.
You get to this new intersection, and you take this northwest loop, and then you end up right back where you were. This is what you said.
I didn't end up there. That's my point.
Oh. Well, then it's not really a loop, is it? I'm more confused than when we started. I need to go see it for myself.
That would be my suggestion. But okay, you know how some loops don't necessarily come right back out at the spot where you end. They might come out 50 feet down.
Yeah.
But if you're behind a row of trees and bushes, you may not know that, the original spot was 50 feet there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I think that's what I ran into as far as where it came back to the main trail, but I don't know that for certain. By my track on Strava, it was pretty close. I didn't zoom in all the way.
Yeah.
But it's like, it didn't look like a lollipop, though. It looked like a loop that came back about to the same point I entered it. But that said, I went with what was a straight route that went to the right, which from appearances kind of looked like the natural flow, which to me it seemed like it would be the most likely original loop. But I don't know that for certain.
You couldn't tell by the beat down path?
That's what I'm saying.
That seems hard to believe.
Okay, it's okay.
I mean, I'm not saying you're not right.
Let's say when they're doing road construction and they put up the road closed sign and they do detours around where the old road used to be.
Yeah.
You lose that beaten path for that quarter of a mile
How
or
long
whatever.
has this been cut in? I didn't even know. I didn't even know.
Not long.
Yeah.
And that was part of it. It was a dried grass bump fest
Yeah.
without a groove of any kind in much of it.
Yeah. So it still needs to be bedded in big time.
Yeah, big time.
Speaking of new trail, there's a trail work day to this Saturday. Is this podcast coming out tomorrow?
It's coming out today.
Today.
That's the plan.
There's a trail
Unless you
work
say something
day.
stupid, I have to edit out.
Like Conflibrated. There's
You're going to be using that word for the rest of your
I
life.
am. It's going in the quiver. But there's a trail work day at South Lakes Park in Denton this Saturday. I believe it starts at 8, maybe 9. But if you go to South Lakes Park Trail on Facebook, there's a group, and all the details are there. Caleb, our beloved somewhat co-host, is headed up. I mean, that's his pet project, and I think their goal have 6 or 7 miles out there.
See, there you go, throwing mileage into the equation again. Don't put mileage in. Just say the goal is a bunch of good trail.
Yeah, I mean, I think the bare minimum is going to be 5, but there's great terrain out there.
There's really good terrain.
There's good terrain.
There's good.
And Caleb has a
tread
pretty good
variation.
vision. Yeah, and Caleb is also a good collaborator. He's not a monarchy when it comes to trail cutting out there. He's not a dictator. So you can go, hey, what about this? And he's very receptive.
Which is not the norm in the trail building environment.
No, but I think it should be. I mean,
Yeah, I don't disagree, but
I get that,
there's a sense of ownership that gets
Yeah.
highly involved by, and I get that. You pour a lot of sweat, equity, and time into it.
Sure, but it's a communal effort. So it should be a communal effort all the way around,
I understand.
I'm getting wise in my old age.
You are. Your wife's a good influence on you.
She is. She's amazing. But it has been very cool. I think we talked about this at the early stages of this podcast. It's so cool to cut legal trail and work
Legal trail. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
and work with the city of Denton and go through the right avenues. It's pretty cool. And like I said, there's great terrain out there, and we're about to start cutting phase 2. So phase 1 is all but complete. It needs some maintenance because we had such a hot summer. It got neglected a little bit, and it probably needs some face slappers cut and just a little bit more grooming. But phase 2 is about to. I don't know what the plan is this Saturday. Unfortunately, I can't attend. I have a dinner, but I think we're gonna, or I say we. I think the plan is to mark and start clearing like underbrush and stuff just to get a good walking path to check the flow and stuff. But it's gonna be cool when it all is done and starts getting a lot more traffic. Because once again, that's a trail. I mean, if you lived, there's a huge neighborhood right there, and it's a great trail for people to ride to and ride. Or if you're somewhat local, it's going to be a good trail for you to go and check out for kind of a beginner trail, but it's a great trail to throw into a ramble. So, and it's going to keep the undesirables out of there and stuff like that. So,
What do you have going, not this weekend, but the following weekend?
Let me see. Oh, I'll be in Forestburg.
Okay.
Yeah, it's my last hoorah of
No worries.
the year for whatchamacallit?
Yoga.
Yogis.
Okay.
So actually, this group isn't even yogis. They're just coming out there. It's a bunch of affluent women that are just coming out to hang out, be in the country, and eat good food.
Okay.
So
Sounds like a bitchin' weekend to me.
yeah. So and then I have a dinner this weekend, and then the following weekend I'm busy. And once again, I'm sad that I'm busy this weekend because I want to do all or nothing, and I want to hear what's going on with all or nothing too. It was on my agenda to talk about today.
Okay. We started touching on it with the Denton MTB trail. And, okay, we'll talk about all or nothing. Because since we're releasing the episode today, there is still time for people to sign up and take on the challenge, because it is a challenge. But
I think it's going to be such a kick-ass. There was so many people from our area that were at BT Epic that were talking about it.
Good.
So I'm excited to see what the turnout is for you and what the reception is.
It will be interesting. I'm gonna do one little selfish semi plug that's not really a plug, and then we can talk about all or nothing. But it is related, because and maybe this kind of ties into where we started today's podcast, talking about your BT Epic travails and being sick and being off the bike and so forth. Mm-hmm. My hands have been a little bit full the last couple of weeks myself, and I've been off the bike too. Mm. And, we've both been espousing the virtues of riding every day, which I am definitely a believer in. But we've both also talked about how, don't schedule days off, because life is going to give you days off.
Yeah.
And I've had one of those 2-week runs where life gave me pretty much every day off. I did between the San Saba event and Bailey's illness and all that. I have not been riding the bike, but I had to go scout the all or nothing stretch through Denton.
Yeah. That
I bailed out on at the waterworks when I did my long ride in the heat.
Yeah. So
I still had to connect basically from the waterworks to Corbin, and using a lot of, it was using the Denton mountain bike trail and using a lot of paved pathway in Denton that I wasn't familiar with, stringing it all together. So I wasn't able to scout that in the truck. I had to hop on the bike. Yeah. And
did you bring a bike today?
I did not.
Okay.
Because we'll talk about that momentarily. Yeah. So long story longer. Short story that should have been short and long. I had to hop on the e-bike again yesterday to knock out my scouting, and it was an amazing tool for that. And I actually got a decent workout. Yeah. Been off the bike for 2 weeks, but heart rate monitor was on. I rode at my heart rate, but yeah, my legs weren't doing what they've been doing on the traditional bike the past month or two. Yeah. But it was, that e-bike was that was a godsend yesterday. Yeah. I was able to knock out 30 miles in 2 hours and get a lot of work done, have fun while I'm doing it. There's my Lucy.
She's like, I want to come outside with you. Did you do the Corbin side? Or?
No.
Okay.
No.
But you got my text that all those pipes?
Those pipes are gone. So here's yeah. So basically I did from the waterworks, Denton mountain bike trail, down through Ben's area and all the paved trails, off of all that, to Bonnie Bray, and then down Bonnie Bray across 380, and that's where I ran into, all of Bonnie Bray's under construction, and it's all down to single lane.
Yeah, it's a cluster.
So that was the original plan, was just to go ahead and straight shot it down Bonnie Bray.
Yeah.
Which it could still work. It's not the end of the world.
There's a decent sidewalk on Bonnie Bray.
There is a decent sidewalk, but I put together a reroute, and I'm going to leave here and scout that. And it's stuff I can scout in the truck. Originally, I was thinking about taking the bike. It's like, it's just going to be easier just to do it in the truck and do other stuff on the bike.
Well, I'm going to go ride the Corbin Loop after this, and because I want to see
how it rides.
And when I went through there last time, when I passed through the gate, at the top, they were burying or digging. So I assume that was the beginning of them burying pipe, but I don't know.
So you're going to hit that today?
Yeah.
Give me feedback, please.
Yeah. I took pictures of everything and sent them to you, but the thing is, it wasn't intentional, but when I popped through the gate and saw the construction equipment, I was like, fuck, how am I going to get through here? And my mentality is always just pretend like you belong there.
Sure.
And so I just rode past them. There was plenty of room to get past them. They seemed kind of like, but they still were like, come on through. But I didn't take any pictures, obviously, because I didn't want to be weird about it.
Right.
So it seemed like when I sent you the pictures, like everything looked like it was situation normal.
Well, that was my impression.
Yeah, and that's why I had to give you that caveat. Hey, there was heavy equipment. They were burying pipe. But now it seems, like I said, I drove by the other day and all that pipe is gone. So that's why I want to go ride there today. Also, I want to see what All Red's like for you as well.
We're not using All Red?
Oh, you're not using All Red?
No,
Okay.
we're going on down to Crawford.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you're going to go John Payne all the way down to
Yep,
Crawford?
yep,
Okay.
yep.
That makes sense. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to go look at All Red.
Yeah, well,
anyways.
I appreciate that because maybe that's what I'll ride tomorrow. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll
Okay.
see. But yeah, definitely give me feedback on Corbin because I have not been there specifically.
Yeah.
But I scouted everything from
The water park.
water park to north part of Bonnie Bray, like after the roundabout, and then I just turned around and went back up Bonnie Bray because it was all construction and red lights and shit, and I didn't want to.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like being in the middle of it. I'm assuming everything south of the interstate on Bonnie Bray, past the stadium and all that, is fine. But I actually rerouted it. My reroute goes across the pedestrian bridge like we did on that Ramble Day.
Yeah. I like that. I
yeah,
like going across that pedestrian
I like
bridge.
that a lot.
Yeah.
So I was like, the reroute's not a bad thing because now we get to use the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the caveat, though. Saturday is a football game, but starts at 11. And the game should be over by the time most of our riders go through there.
What mile is that roughly?
It's like 90, 92.
Oh, yeah. Game should be 11. Yeah.
Should be over.
Yeah, it should be over and cleared out.
Should be, but I don't know what the post game scene is like around there.
I don't know
yeah,
either.
I don't know. And
Sadly, I've never been to a UNT game.
I have never had really much ambition to go to one, to be honest with you. But it's Tulane, so that might be a bigger game for them.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right. So what questions do you have about All or Nothing?
Well, I just want you to lay out the format.
Okay.
And what trails are being used and what's your participation sign up right now? What's your expectation? What's the weather going to be like on Saturday? What's the start time?
Oh, man. Shit, you're asking a bunch of shit I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what the weather's going to be like. So you can hop on your Googleizer and see what.
Let's start here. What's the start time?
Saturday, 7 a.m. From 4R Ranch Vineyards and Winery.
Yeah.
And it's a point to point.
Yeah.
So it leaves 4R Ranch Vineyards and Winery and finishes at the North Shore Trail Mad Shelter.
Very nice.
Okay. If you do everything, it's going to be somewhere between 130 and 135 miles.
Okay. So starts at 7 for our ranch. It's going to be 63 degrees in the morning.
Nice.
And high of 87. But that's local weather. It's going to be probably a little bit cooler up there.
Well, yeah, but it's,
Maybe 3 or 4 or 5 degrees.
Yeah.
So.
But the heat of the day will be down here.
Yeah, for sure. So you do one lap at 4R.
Do one lap at 4R, head out on...
Which is how many miles?
8 or 9, somewhere in... It's somewhat unclear. So we have a GPS file that's, I think it measures out to 133 and a half miles or something like that. And it's using a previous track of 4R, a previous track of the Denton Mountain Bike Trail. That's the second trail. And a previous track of what we're using for our North Shore Loop. Now, as everybody knows, trails are essentially living things. So there can be reroutes or changes and shifts in the trail, or maybe somebody's plot was off or something like that. So my expectation is the mileage for everybody will...
Your mileage may vary.
Your mileage will be varying. Somewhere along the line of 133-something miles, somebody's going to take a wrong turn here and there. So... stuff's going to happen. I think it works out to just like not with the single track sections. It's like almost balls on 100 miles, 101 or less sort of thing.
Okay.
So it's 100 miles plus whatever the single track is, generally speaking. We have the option for those that aren't up for that full 133 miles. They can do 4R point to point to the Denton mountain bike trail, do the Denton mountain bike loop, and that's 80 miles.
Okay.
That's an 80-mile day there.
Yeah. Very cool. How many participants do you anticipate?
No idea on that. Right now we have 60-ish registered.
In a perfect world, how many people would you have show up? Is this something where you want 300 people?
No,
or
no.
Is 100 like your happy zone?
For something like this, 50 to 75 people is kind of my sweet spot. So we're right in the middle of it.
So Kevin's happy.
I'm always happy.
Yeah.
I'm just a ball of happy.
Yeah, that's what I think every time I see you. Oh, goodness.
Just a big old dropping mess of happy is all I am. But no, we're very. This for something like this. This is because this is not a formal event. This is a club spinistry ride.
Yeah.
This is a challenge. This is what the people are going out and doing it for themselves.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a big old podium at the end. There's not a bag of cash waiting for you.
Yeah.
It's you finish this son of a bitch. You got something to tell people about.
Right. There's no T-shirt, no buckle. No attaboy. It's just
there'll be an attaboy there. There'll be. So my plan is currently, and the intent is for folks to camp up there at 4R Friday night and hang out with us.
Yeah, obviously.
And
you don't want to drive from the Metro mess and be there just to start at 7 a.m.
Exactly. And so I'll be up there with the camper, send folks off, probably see everybody finish their 4R loop. Mm-hmm. And then meet the leaders at the Denton mountain bike trail when they come through there.
With your cowbell?
With a little bit of cowbell going. Mm-hmm. And then the plan is just to drag the camper to Mad Shelter and hang out there all night as people finish.
Very cool. Very cool. 135 miles with mountain bike trail. It's probably safe to say the leaders will be 14, 15 miles an hour. So, like 9 hours is going to be a good. Fast guys maybe 7 hours.
I don't think it'll be that fast, but
yeah.
I could be proven wrong.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a 10-hour day at least.
Okay.
That's my guess. That's my guess, because you got to figure people are going to be. Fast mountain bikers are going to be on mountain bikes. They're not going to be on gravel bikes doing those trails with North Shore and 4R in the mix.
Man, I was flying this flag long before Dylan Johnson, but I think a drop bar mountain bike is the go on this.
But how many people do have drop bar mountain bikes already? Not very many.
I mean, a Fargo, salsa cutthroat.
Do you see Joey Pratt or Austin Whittington on a Fargo or a cutthroat?
I don't want to tell too many tales out of school, but I think Austin Whittington, unless he doesn't have it anymore, he used to have a Frankenstein of sorts.
That wouldn't. Yeah. That's very Austinish. I would expect that, quite frankly.
Yeah. And I think it was a true mountain bike that was built with drop bars.
That would be my expectation but it's not going to be a Fargo.
No,
it's not going to be a Cuddy.
No. But you're right.
So. If
Are you saying that's why I'm not fast is because I have a Fargo? Like if I was fast, I wouldn't have a Fargo?
A Fargo is not a racing bike, is it?
Depends on who's riding it, I think.
It's
a leisure bike for me.
at the Austin Whittington levels, I would not consider it a race bike. Yeah. At the Dylan Johnson levels, I would not consider it a race bike.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Nothing wrong with a Fargo by any stretch of the imagination.
No, those are fighting words. You talk shit about my Fargo, we don't have problems.
So, now that you bring it up, that's going to be some fun content.
Yeah.
I'm going to have opportunity to talk about bike choices, and that's going to be really that's going to be fun for Friday night and hanging out at Denton and seeing who's coming through on what first. And
it is going to be interesting to see what everybody chooses as their weapon.
To be honest with you, that hadn't even been part of my thought process yet,
dude. That's the reason that I love races like that.
Yeah, no. It's like usually me too, and for whatever reason, that hadn't even entered my thought process on this one yet.
Like I love watching, Rudolph's Revenge and All or Nothing, Rule of Three, all these races, not unbound, Leadville, where people have to measure, like, is the road where I make my time and sacrifice everything on the mountain bike trail? Or, I love a good leveler like that, where people have to make it. It's not just, I'm riding this bike.
Right.
They have to think about what they're riding, tire choice, all these things.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. This one really makes it. So, I mean, so we figured out it's 33, 35 miles of single track in the mix. Probably of the 100 miles of non-single track, probably a good 35 or 40 at least is gravel. And of the remaining paved, probably 10 to 12 miles of that will be paved path as opposed to roads, sort of thing, putting it all together. So, yeah, definitely a nice little mix.
Yeah. I love that format, too.
And the Corbin section, so whatever you want to call that,
Yeah, unimproved. I love it. I love it.
No, I'm really looking forward to it. Ideally, I would love to find more Corbin-esque pieces for something like that. But
I have plenty of gems for you.
Legal ones?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, okay.
I have both.
Okay.
We have country and western. Is that it for all or nothing? All or nothing?
Did that answer all your outstanding questions there?
I think so. So finishing at Mad Shelter.
Oh, let me talk about the North Shore Loop, how that works.
Yeah. So you're going to come into Consalvo?
The way it's routed now, it comes in, I think it's called Shoreline. It's the old fishing cabin neighborhood. It comes into about the midpoint of Loop 6 down a paved road, and there's a little trailhead entrance there.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Comes into Loop 6 there. You come back on Loop 6 towards Mad Shelter. Come by Mad Shelter, say hi to Kevin, do an eastbound loop, and then back all of 5, and then back to Mad Shelter.
Oh, okay. So you're going 6, 5, 1, 2, 3,
4, 3, 2, 1, 5. Mad Shelter finish.
Oh, wow. Okay. So what is that, like 15 miles of North Shore? Ish?
Yeah. Rough guess. Whatever the math works out to. But it's not 7, and it's not the rest of 6.
Yeah.
Now, that said,
6 inbound, 6 from the west to Mad.
Yeah.
Is the rougher part of 6 from what I think. But they'll be fresh on the trail. They'll be happy to be on the trail.
They'll be fresh on the trail.
They'll be happy to walk a little bit.
Man, where was I going? I was about to go somewhere. Oh, well.
You do know you can come in, just not that I want you to change anything, but just for your future edification, you can come in off of Consalvo, and
is that the one that picks up the 5 turnaround?
No, it dumps you right into the backside of Mad Shelter.
Oh, but I purposely don't want. I want to take them into that neighborhood and down in
because that's fair.
It's a really cool neighborhood.
I just didn't know if you knew that was an access point or not. I figured you did, but
it was. Yeah, I understand. And I appreciate the contribution there. I do. So I think it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah.
And
the weather looks promising.
Weather looks close to ideal. Maybe a little bit on the warm side, but we've got plenty of convenience stores along the way, and they're mapped out. And
we do have cooler weather coming, allegedly.
That's what you said last.
I'm getting trust issues, developing trust issues with this Texas weather.
I hear you.
Every year I forget. I don't know if I am conveniently amnesic because I think, okay, good, it's happening.
Yeah. I'm ready for fall. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
I'm ready for real fall.
Yeah.
But
I am ready. But this is not miserable.
No,
that's
not the thing. It's not. So here's the big difference this year, though. Traditionally, October is usually one of our wetter months.
Yeah.
It's not flooding wet, but
Yeah.
we usually get a good bit of rain in the mix as
Yeah.
things cool down.
Yeah.
And we definitely are not getting rain in the mix this time.
We need some rain.
Badly. And again, we're back to what I was talking about on the Denton mountain bike trail. I was shocked how good a shape that thing was in. I expected it to be a completely cracked up mess. And
Yeah.
it's loose and sandy and dust, and it was nice and firm. I was shocked.
Nice and firm.
Nice and firm.
So, before I forget, I want to talk about Lifetime Grand Prix, because the series that are Lifetime Grand Prix, obviously we knew that Keegan Swinson was going to lock everything up.
We knew Keegan and Sophia had things locked up for
Yeah.
first place.
And then, did you watch the Big Sugar?
I started to, and I couldn't get into it this time for some
Yeah.
reason. I don't know what was different. It wasn't.
Coverage was less focused.
Yeah,
seemed.
it was. I was not tracking. It
Yeah.
wasn't holding my attention.
Yeah, it wasn't until kind of the last like 3 or 4 minutes of the coverage that it seemed like now they're focused on the race. Maybe that was my attention span too.
I saw. Oh, hey, it's up. I'm all right.
Yeah.
And I fought through the first 5 minutes. All right, I'm just not digging it. And I think I gave it 10 minutes. It's like,
Yeah.
this is doing nothing for me.
And here's how sweet my wife is. She was watching it with me, and she goes, does Kevin not want to do something like this? And I go, Kevin does stuff like this, just not on this like national level. I said, but no, this is a nightmare for Kevin. I said, Kevin likes a little bit more grassroots than this. And she's like, well, I don't understand. And I go, it's okay. You never come to races. You wouldn't kind of get it, you know? But it was just cute to hear her go, Kevin should do something like this. I'm like, Kevin does shit like this. She's so pretty.
She wouldn't. There's no way for her to know that, though.
No, I know. It was just cute. She just cracks me up. So Keegan locked everything up. I guess the most exciting aspect of the whole thing was who's the guy that won? I forgot his name. Shit.
Won what?
Oh, Alexei Vermeulen.
Won the race, Alexei.
Yeah.
That was good to see.
Yeah, so he hasn't done anything since the first race. I mean, Sea Otter, he was in like I think second place or maybe third place.
Well, he blew off Unbound for his brother's wedding.
Yep.
And that's been a pseudo running joke in that Bonk Bros group.
Yeah.
But in the group in general.
Yeah.
So a lot of people were very happy to see Alexei show his form again.
And he made some moves, and he made moves stick, and he used up, I can't remember who it was that went with him. Cole Patton?
Yeah.
They worked together, and then he just chewed him up and spit him out. It was classic.
It was pretty obvious. So, and maybe this is why I wasn't getting into the post-race coverage. Mm-hmm. As I was hanging out in San Saba waiting for my racers to come in, or my riders to come in for Hill Country Hyundai, the live feed for Big Sugar following Cole and Alexei for the last 15 miles or whatever it was. And it'd probably been going longer, but that's when I caught it, was on Instagram. So I watched that live. My takeaway while that was happening was Alexei had him set up the whole time. It wasn't a fight per se. Alexei was obviously the stronger rider,
right?
But yeah, he did use him as much as he possibly could.
It wasn't Cole Patton. We're both wrong.
It started with a C, wasn't it? Who was second?
Looks like. I don't understand this because Cole got 35 points from Big Sugar, and then Keegan got 33 points, but Keegan didn't finish second.
But what did Alexei get?
That's what I'm looking at. So Alexei got 35 points, and then Keegan got 33 points.
Okay.
And then Brendan Johnston got 31 points.
For the Grand Prix.
No, for Big Sugar.
For those points are for Grand Prix. The second place guy was not a Grand Prix racer.
Oh, that's right. My bad. Sorry. You can edit this out. I can't remember who was second.
You're
sure? You're right.
You sure it wasn't Cole?
No, because he's a Grand Prix rider.
Oh, man. Now, well, here you spit stuff into the microphone while I Google this, because there's got to be Big Sugar results somewhere.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. Big Sugar gravel. Oh no, either way, this is good dead air. But I'm obsessed, borderline, with Lachlan, and it looks like, you saw the Instagram post that I sent you and Caleb, and much to
Colby Simmons.
That's right.
Colby
it did start
Simmons.
with a C. Just like we talked about last week, there's going to be a big shakeup in the Lifetime Grand Prix.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about Lachlan had just come off of doing 9,000
miles circumnavigating the Australia outer border, or whatever you want to call it.
Eating all the shrimps on the Barbie.
I bet there was some bacon too.
Oh yeah. But he posted on Instagram, he said, potentially the worst legs I've shown up to a race with, but glad to make the trip to Bentonville to finish out my time in the Lifetime Series. It's been a great few years, and I am genuinely so grateful for what this series has done for bike racers in the U.S. I'll find some new goals for next year, but please don't ask me what's next, because I have no clue. I mean, that says it. He's not going to be back in Lifetime Grand Prix.
Not for the Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean he won't show up for individual events, though.
No. But he's guaranteed an entrance in Lifetime Grand Prix.
There are no guarantees.
Oh, is it?
They took that top 15 guaranteed out of the mix.
Oh, I missed that.
Well,
but it sounds like he doesn't want to be there anyways. That's what I'm taking from that. Maybe I'm reading it wrong.
No. He doesn't. He obviously doesn't.
Yeah.
He's not throwing his hat in the ring. He's not applying, is basically what he's saying.
Yeah.
The whys and the wherefores, don't know.
So how are they going to qualify? Is it just going to be election by committee? They're going to just vote on who gets in? I mean, that's how they've done it historically anyways, but it's been based off of standings as well, or we've been led to believe. Nobody really knows, do they?
And that's the rub.
Yeah.
But
I mean, we know that Payson, and Payson may not want to come back either.
All right.
It'll be interesting.
So, again, I'm not involved in these negotiations, discussions, emails, or anything like that. Just things that float about in conversations that sometimes I'm tangential to for whatever reasons. Some of the concerns about the next iteration of the Lifetime Grand Prix is that the athletes that are chosen are going to be even more beholden to Lifetime. That's an expectation sort of thing. And that was a concern a couple years ago, that some of the athletes made a point that I'm my boss.
Oh.
I don't work for the man.
Yeah.
So some of the concerns that are being vocalized, whether they're valid concerns, and I'm not saying they are valid. It may be people that are saying, this is why I'm not going to apply. Well, maybe they're saying that's why I'm not going to apply, because they know they're not going to get in anyway. So I'm not saying... But I've heard more than one person rumbling about the expectation of being a Lifetime spokesperson, being part of the equation to be in the Grand Prix next year.
Is this the beginning of the end for Lifetime Grand Prix, or is this just a restructuring to break it down and build it up to be better?
I think it's a coin toss.
Yeah.
And I mean, anytime you make strategic moves like that, you make them hoping it's going to be beneficial, but what may be beneficial to an organization may not be beneficial to the racers, sort of thing.
That being said, like Keegan Swinson, is he 100% coming back? I mean,
I don't think anyone's 100%.
I mean,
I don't think anyone's 100%.
But it would be so. Here's let's just discuss this a little bit.
Sure.
Like, Lifetime would be foolish not to invite Keegan back, right?
Hypothetically. Again.
And Keegan's been so dominant, you would think that it would be a no-brainer for him to come back and race. But maybe Keegan goes on to greener pastures, which I don't know what that is at this point. And then that gives rise to somebody else, but that changes the spotlight for Lifetime Grand Prix, because it really has been the Keegan Swinson show. You know, as far as the men go.
I'm sorry to focus on the men. Sophia show for the ladies.
Yeah, I mean, she locked it up.
It's kind of 6 of one, half dozen the other, along those lines. But I mean, let's let me break out my calculator here, because I can't do math in my head. But I know what the simple math is, but let's break it down a little bit further.
Uh-huh.
All right, so next year's prize money for the Lifetime Grand Prix between the $300,000. Actually, I think they're taking that. Well, I'm going to keep it at 300 because I know that it's at least that. The $300,000 for the Grand Prix purse, the top 10, and maybe that changes. Maybe they distribute it amongst them all. I don't know. Let's just say that money. And they're throwing another $180,000 for individual race prize money. So that's a total of $480,000, correct?
For you're saying $180,000 spread across the events.
Yes.
Okay. And the $300,000 is for the top 5 finishers, but split into 2 men and women. So
no, top 10.
Top 10.
That's what I'm saying. Well, that's what it's been
in the money.
That's what it's been in the past. That may change. That's what I'm saying. That may change. So, but let's.
I think Keegan got 50. Right?
I don't know. Okay. But again, $480,000. Yes.
Yeah. Seems mathing.
All right. So, and 50 athletes, correct? 25 men, 25 women, correct?
That's right. It does say $300,000 prize purse.
81, 2, 3 divided by 50. That's how much each athlete gets next year from Lifetime if they get all of that money.
But it's graded, like top.
An average.
Yeah.
And not so the race prize money is not guaranteed to a Lifetime Grand Prix participant. Lachlan may show up for Unbound and win Unbound and get the first place money there.
I see what you're saying. So you're saying it may be more beneficial for
many of these athletes.
Yeah, especially contenders, right? Well, no, if you're a contender, if you're a Keegan Swinson, you want to be in the Lifetime Grand Prix because you want to be hunting that check, right? Am I thinking about this wrong?
$50,000. Keegan's brand is worth way more than $50,000 right now. Sophia's brand is worth way more than $50,000 right now.
But what is, if you're tactical, not racing, but in your career, and you're Keegan Swinson, how old is Keegan? I don't know too. But
I think 30 would be on the high side, 25 would be on the low side.
Yeah. So where do you pivot to at that point? If you go, just hypothetically.
Yeah.
You're Keegan Swinson, you're on top of the world in this pond.
Yep.
And you go, I'm not going to do Lifetime Grand Prix next year. You're going to be like a privateer? I mean, obviously he's going to maintain his Santa Cruz.
Highest level privateer is probably 500,000 to $1 million a year.
Okay.
And highest level may be multiple millions per year.
Okay. And you just...
That said, how dependent is that on being that high level privateer if you're not in the Grand Prix? So that's where it does get to be a little bit of a dance. Do I need to be a Grand Prix, part of the Grand Prix in order to get my high-level sponsorships, my high-level privateer status? That's kind of the game they've been playing the past couple years.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where Lifetime's like, no, we expect these people to be talking about Lifetime, not talking about X bicycle company or B tire company or C chain lube or whatever.
Yeah.
The concern, again, the rumblings, the concern is that the selection process is going to be towards racers that are more likely to be tooting the lifetime horn than some random bike manufacturer's horn.
Well,
but will that be true or not? I don't know. That's
but
just
the question remains, though. If Keegan says, once again, just hypothetical, he decides, I'm not going to accept the bid to be lifetime Grand Prix athlete this year.
Right.
So what does he do that's bigger and better than lifetime Grand Prix?
Maybe he chases the UCI series. Maybe he tries to be in the Tour de France. Maybe he goes out and starts his own race series and drags other top level racers to his events or whatever. There's a myriad of options, and that's has Lifetime has positioned itself to be the premier gravel racing series.
Yeah,
it has not locked it up though.
Well, who's in contention? I mean, who's contending as far as the series goes that's not UCI? I mean, and is UCI?
But it's okay. But we're kind of saying the same thing. If hypothetically, I'm not saying Keegan's not going to be part of the series, and I'm not either. I'm not saying he's not going to go to Lifetime. I'm not implying that at all. But if Keegan has nothing to lose by not being a Grand Prix racer next year and just goes and does his own schedule and only the Grand Prix events that he really wants to do, he just cherry picks. It could be argued that if you do Unbound in Leadville, you really don't need to do anything else to support your sponsors. That argument could be made. If you win Unbound and if you win Leadville, does it really matter if you even showed up for Big Sugar or if you even showed up for Sea Otter at that? Not.
The Little Sugar's in it next year too.
Little Sugar's in it too. So and then you're getting into another part of the concerns that are out there. It's unclear what the Sea Otter event for the Grand Prix is next year. Is it a gravel event or is it a mountain bike event? It says gravel. Right.
What did it say this year?
It was a mountain bike race this year.
It says Fuego XL 100K.
Which was understood to be a mountain bike race.
And next year, it specifically says gravel.
So.
Okay.
Again.
I think Schwamigan's the wild card in this whole thing. It's the one thing that kind of doesn't make sense to me. But that's just me. October 12th, October 19th.
Yeah, I think there's a high likelihood that Schwamigan ends up being
the drop
for a lot of people. Could be wrong.
Yeah,
could be wrong. I'm not certain why. I'm assuming Schwamigan was one of the Lifetime purchases early in their event purchase process.
Yeah.
For whatever reasons, so they're just they're trying to get what they can out of it. But I mean, they dropped Crusher and the Tusher, which that one really, I'll be honest with you, that one really surprised me that they dropped that one. Okay, well, actually, here you go. Now that we're thinking out loud, you asked who could position themselves to be a premier series.
Spinistry.
Hell no.
Spinistry, your premier event organizer.
No, but the Privateer Invitational Gravel, if you want to start putting skins on the wall to make yourself viable for those higher level series, that would be an excellent outlet for it. But Belgian Waffle Ride and their series could swoop in there.
That's true. I hadn't even thought about that.
I mean, hypothetically, if BWR threw $500,000 at Keegan and Sophia and said, we just need you to line up for our BWR series every race and make that a big deal for you.
Yeah, that would be a brilliant chess move.
And the BWR format is much more similar to the UCI World Championship format than traditional American gravel. You might be onto something, Bradford.
Yeah.
You might be onto something. Man, look at you figuring this shit out.
I really think that Lifetime has unwittingly shaken their own nest. And
well, that's what I said last week. It's
Yeah.
like I don't know that this is
a good move.
I don't know that this is the ideal. But
either way, it's going to be interesting.
It's going to be interesting
to see the way it plays out.
It's going to be interesting as hell.
I'm very interested, and I wonder because it became apparent to me when we were talking to Emily that it was the first time that I really had thought about there's all of this discussion that's taking place behind the curtain, and there are people, not Emily, I'm not calling her out specifically.
She opened your eyes to
Yes.
it's not just universally accepted that
Right.
this is the shit.
Right. And so it just started my wheels spinning, pun intended.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I was like, oh, so, and then like Lachlan saying, I mean, he said it without saying it. Has no intention of coming back next year.
Right.
And then that just makes me think, well, who else is in this same boat? And then you start looking at who is on the leaderboard, like, I hate to say it this way, but Dylan Johnson is going to be happy as a lark to be there next year if he gets invited. Because he still has aspirations of being in the top 10, and he's improved his position.
And the Lifetime Series is the best thing for his personal brand, for his YouTube channel, and for the content he does. And it's not knocking it by any stretch.
No.
But he is not a Keegan and Lachlan level racer by any stretch of the imagination. But he benefits from their participation.
Absolutely.
And being on the same line with them.
High tide raises all boats.
But then you get, like you can take that to that additional level of, and this is not throwing any shade at Payson. I'm just using him as a simplistic example.
Yeah. Best mustache in the business.
Remind me to tell you my adventure stash story.
Okay.
And we'll do it this episode.
Okay.
Payson is probably borderline or close to aging out for
He's 32?
Mid-30s is going to age out.
Yeah.
But his brand tied to, along the line of Dylan's brand being tied to the Lifetime Grand Prix, it's I would see where it would be beneficial for Payson to maintain that focus, that Lifetime relationship.
Yeah.
Not that he's specifically endorsing them or they're a sponsor of his, but that association is advantageous to someone that may have that high level content creator presence.
I see him being an ambassador for Bentonville area cycling and starting to put on more events in the Bentonville area in the next 5 years.
Potentially.
Yeah. That's where I see his.
But, I mean, technically he lives in Durango, so.
Yeah, but he part-times in Bentonville.
And, was it Girona, or whatever it is? And
I don't know.
Yeah, he's worldly.
Yeah.
He's outside of our realm. That said, here's my adventure stash story.
Talk to me. I'm more than curious now.
I've been thinking about sending him an email or a message because I kind of remember this, but I'll be honest with you, I could be misremembering it. I could be misremembering
That's
it.
a given at all times with me. So
particularly, I mean, I've had a couple of serious concussions in the interim, but I do seem to remember 2018, probably 2018, may have been 2017, possibly could have been 2019. 2019 would have been after the concussion. 2018 would have been before the concussion. Texas Chainring Massacre. Mm-hmm. If I remember it correctly, I was introduced to Colin Strickland by Brian Foley. Mm-hmm. Several years previous, 2015-ish, maybe. Mm-hmm. And Colin Strickland ended up going to the highest levels of gravel not too long after that. And part of that journey was Texas Chainring Massacre participation.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Colin introducing me to somebody at a Texas Chainring Massacre.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 2018, may have been 2019. And I think it was Payson.
Okay.
And I think Payson was still a Texas boy at the time. And
is he from Texas?
Yeah. He's from Austin area.
How did I not know that?
And
that tracks now. Okay.
And he was also Colin's Red Bull teammate.
Okay.
But it was like at check-in, and Payson wasn't signed up. But he was just there to check out the scene, sort of thing, and it was like outside his training block, so it didn't fit into his. But I distinctly remember talking to this cat, and I was like, "Man, hey, there's still time. Sign up. Come join us.
Right.
We'll find a bike for you. We'll make it work." And I think Colin was somewhat surprised that I didn't know who it was. One of those things. But
of those things, yeah.
Brian was that way when I didn't know who Colin was.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not the realm. That's not my sandbox. I'm not chasing down the.
Yeah.
It's like, I know who Austin Whittington and Joey Pratt are.
Yeah.
Tony, T-Hop, you know, that kind of thing. Hey, there's Adam. Let's put him on the cover, you know? But anyway, so we started talking about stuff, and the guy was like, I don't know if I'm into this kind of racing yet. I'm just checking out the scene and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, man, this is nothing. We've got this 1,000-mile race across Texas, and, you really need to get into this dirtbag shit we do. And he's like, I don't know if I'm into that adventurous stuff. And I said something like, man, with that adventure stash you have, you belong in this world.
Oh, shit.
That is how I remember it. I don't, but maybe it was.
I love it when you give yourself way more credit.
Maybe it was a fever dream. Maybe it was a fever dream.
Relocated to Durango in 2012. Pursue an undergraduate education at collegiate cycling powerhouse Fort Lewis College. I was looking for his wiki, but I don't see it because I wanted to know how old he is. I mean, age is just a number, I get it, but...
I mean, I'm pretty sure it shows it on his results at the lifetime events and so forth, but I could be wrong.
I didn't see it, but I'm not that smart. Let's see. About Payson. But, I mean, I'm curious to see what this guy goes and does, and what Keegan does. 93, so that makes him 31, right? Am I right?
Probably going on 32.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I thought he was older than
February 18th, 93, so he'll be
32.
32 in February. Yeah.
Okay, he's older than I thought. I mean, he's younger than I thought.
Yeah.
So he's not on the edge of aging out.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm curious to see what he goes and does.
I mean, it's
This About page has not been updated since 2020, it looks like.
And where is that About page on?
It's his page. Payson.
Okay.
I don't know if he's the one that curates it. But it's PaysonMcKelvin.com.
But I got to thinking about that Adventure Stash story because the last podcast or two of his, he talked about they're going to be rebranding his podcast.
Yeah, it's already done.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I listened to the most recent podcast, and he said it was going to be pushed back a little ways.
Oh, well, I thought he said it was going to be done right at Big Sugar, but I could be wrong.
Well,
too.
maybe that was his goal, but they ran into some kind of paperwork logjam of some sort.
That's possible.
But that's what it's like. Man, I think I can't. I had thought about it previously, and I've been. It's something I've been noodling in my head when I'm driving around scouting routes. It's like, am I remembering this correctly? But
see, here's the picture I was looking for. It wants me to log in.
But I mean, we're back to, like I said, the rough math is.
Oh, I lied. His check at the end Grand Prix, Keegan was $30,000. I thought it was 50, but it's 30.
And all of the athletes have been saying that from the beginning of the Grand Prix is Lifetime's getting a bargain.
Yeah, they really are.
From the exposure they get from this level of athlete.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised. Okay.
What does Lifetime do if the top 10 finishers just say, I'm out, and they don't show up next year?
I think we could be seeing that. I think we could be seeing that.
Huh. Are we the only people having this thought process?
No. No. Not
So
right.
do you think Lifetime's self-aware enough
Yes.
to be
Yes.
a little worried?
Yes. Yes, very definitely. Oh, that's like very top of mind. But again, depending on what their strategic goals are, they're like, fine. I don't need
Payson and Keegan
or whoever.
and- yeah.
I'm not gonna throw any names in
Yeah.
the mix. Okay, I don't need. They'll say I don't need Lachlan because Lachlan's already said he's not planning to do
Right.
it for all intents and purposes,
Right.
right? And Lifetime goes, that's fine. I don't need Lachlan to be part of the series.
I mean, Unbound will still be gigantic with or without Lachlan or Keegan.
Unbound and Leadville are still signature regardless.
Yeah.
And it's also Lifetime can pivot. They have the resources to pivot any way they need to and capitalize on what works best for them. And that might be exactly what they're doing now. I don't know. So I'm not saying it's a bad move on their part. I don't
Yeah.
know what the move actually is.
And I know that the 3 or 4 people that are still listening now are probably like, why are you guys so worried about this? But I think this is a bigger part of the whole picture of cycling. Like, it's not going to be a reactionary thing for what Lifetime does, but cycling in general at a high-end competitive level is actively getting shaken up right now. And it's going to be very interesting to see, like, 3 years from now, what becomes of Lifetime, what becomes of UCI, what becomes of the Belgian Waffle Ride series, and kind of, is there somebody new that's going to break onto the scene? But because of the new riders that are coming up there, or the lack thereof, it's just going to be interesting to see how everything kind of pans out. And the focus right now for me is Lifetime and these athletes that we're talking about, but it's indicative of a much bigger picture is what I'm really getting at.
Lifetime did a fantastic job of making that your focus.
Yeah.
That was completely intentional.
Oh, 100%.
And they did a fantastic job of that. And that's why I'm saying I'm not kicking them in the balls here, because they have proven that they know what they're doing from that perspective.
But I wonder if that's going to change how they address their coverage next year too. You know?
Be honest with you, I could be wrong here. I think the Pirate Cycling League Gravel Worlds coverage and the UCI Gravel Worlds coverage really shook Lifetime up, pulling off the live coverage.
Yeah. But they were following the model that Lifetime kind of put out, you know?
UCI's had that model for a while. And Pirate Cycling League followed the model that Lifetime did in a way.
Shout out to Cornbread.
The Instagram. Is he still involved? Okay, because I know.
Is he not?
The Pirate Cycling League's
shuffling.
They already shuffled. I don't know.
I didn't know that.
I don't. Not necessarily in the. Whoever took it over was one of the ones involved for a while.
Yeah.
But the originators have taken a back seat or shifted it all over. But
I didn't know that.
The Instagram Pirate Cycling League took the Instagram live feed and turned it into a YouTube live feed, which was a big difference.
Yeah.
A huge difference.
Okay.
And it'll be interesting. I don't know. I don't know. But then there was also.
But we also talked about, and we've talked about this a couple of times, how much resources, aka money, and people it takes to pull off these high level productions, and in such a timely fashion,
right,
that Lifetime is doing,
right,
and that's got to be a resource dump for them. And
no doubt.
And if they pulled back from that and kind of, even if they didn't fast track it so much.
Okay, so I guess that's when we get in with the Pirate Cycling League's live coverage.
Mm-hmm.
Pirate Cycling League did their live coverage in a very grassroots fashion.
Yeah.
But it was very effective.
Mm-hmm.
It was better than anything Lifetime had pulled off in their multiple or live attempts.
Mm-hmm.
And
they did it for a fraction, if not a tenth of what Lifetime does. Careful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
that's what I'm saying.
And that's what I think shook Lifetime up. Quite frankly, they're like, "Holy shit! Those guys pulled that off for $20,000.
Yeah.
And we threw $250,000 at it."
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I'm getting at. Like, Lifetime has kind of carried this torch and kind of led the way a little bit, but I think they're much like we alluded to in the very beginning, like of this year. I mean, like 2 races in, we're like, dude, what are they doing? This is amazing.
Yeah,
I appreciate the content, but it's got to be a money suck. And how are they
capitalizing on it?
Yes. And so I think we're going to see a switch up in that. And I think you're probably right with just YouTube live coverage, and then they'll just leave it up, and, you can watch it quote unquote live after the fact, but that frees up some resources and funds, and maybe they dump that back into the purse fund to bulk it up to make it more desirable.
Maybe.
That would be a smart move if I was a betting man.
Again, not knowing what their goal is. I mean, ultimately their goal is to promote the Lifetime brand.
Yeah, yeah.
Ultimately, that's their goal, and get a positive return on investment.
And Mazda was huge at Big Sugar, but is that the only event that Mazda was big at, or did I just only notice it on that one event? Has it been a Mazda Lifetime Grand Prix series? Have I been asleep the whole time?
I mean, outside of just seeing the name on the series, I hadn't noticed a Mazda presence in any of the other events specifically.
I hadn't either. That's what I'm saying.
But that's also the kind of move you make when you're trying to make an advertiser happy going into the next year to hopefully renew.
Oh, it does say Lifetime Grand Prix presented by Mazda on their homepage.
No, it always has.
Okay.
But that's been my point. I haven't seen anything that referenced Mazda in any of the coverage prior to Big Sugar.
Big Sugar was, and maybe I'm dumb. Maybe I go back and watch, Sea Otter, and they're talking about Mazda exclusively. I don't recall it.
I didn't recall it either. And that was my takeaway, was that the other events I had noticed. I already knew that Mazda was a title sponsor.
Oh, now that I'm looking at it, so you can click on each one of these events from 2024.
Yeah.
So Sea Otter was presented by Continental, and I do remember that now.
Right. The series is Mazda.
But how come they're not the title sponsor underneath Lifetime for every event, and then Continental would have been the co-sponsor or something?
Well, it depends on how the deal is structured.
Because Unbound doesn't say anything when you click on that event. It just says Lifetime Unbound Gravel.
Well, I mean, like I've done Spinistry series and events where the series itself was presented by Panaracer, for example.
Yeah.
But individual races may be the insurance for Texans.
Yeah.
Whatever else
Title
in the Panaracer series.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Like Schwamigan is the next one in the series. Unbound is no, Crusher none, Leadville none. Schwamigan is presented by Trek. Dirtfest no title sponsor
because Trek's in Wisconsin.
Yep, and then Big Sugar says presented by Mazda, and
maybe that's why Schwamigan's in the mix because Lifetime wants Trek money.
Yeah, huh? Interesting.
So that
I wonder if Mazda is based out of Bentonville area.
I don't think so.
This is just me being retarded. But
can't say that word.
I can say whatever the fuck I want.
Okay.
Now you got to edit. Sea Otter next year. Continental once again. Unbound nothing. Leadville nothing. Oh, presented by Kinetic. Schwamigan Trek again. Little Sugar. no title sponsor, and then Big Sugar Mazda yet again. So I think we are right. Mazda was highlighted at Big Sugar. But the whole series, it says Lifetime Grand Prix at the top.
So, okay. And now that, yes, the title sponsors for the events you were talking about, yes, those were thrown into, and that's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
I never remembered hearing Mazda.
Me neither.
So I didn't realize Mazda was actually the event sponsor as well as the series sponsor this time around. That kind of explains that difference to some extent. But like, I know what's the other insurance or the other series sponsor, SBI Insurance or something? I can't remember.
SBLI. So here's their official. So
they talk about SBLI a bunch.
Huh. Well, this says presenting sponsor. So I went to their partners page, and it says, I don't know what this is, a really illegible logo, but it says Cases of Success. And it looks like it's a B&W. I don't know. And then Best Day Brewing, Good Life Brands, Kinetic, Orange Seal.
And Kinetic's the tape guys, right? Or is that something else?
I thought that was K2. And then Protect Our Winters, and then SBLI Insurance, and then corporate sponsors, Otterbox, supporting sponsors, Garmin. So, Kinetic, what is Kinetic? Oh, it's a drink.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It looks like an energy drink or something.
I remember that now.
So, either way, I guess we've probably dwelled on this enough, but Lifetime Grand Prix has really shown a great light on professional cycling at a gravel level, and has kind of pushed things down the road really well. But I think we're going to see a huge shakeup in 2025. That's my prediction. I think it's a safe bet.
A shakeup in what way? What's the shakeup?
Well, I mean, like we said, I think their video coverage is going to change. I think they're going to pull back a little bit on that. I think we're going to see a big shakeup in participants. Like we've alluded to, there's a lot of high-level athletes that are showing less interest in being cornered into that brand. And I think that we're going to see other events come out of the shadows, or other series come out of the shadows and get highlighted better. I'm
going to throw one more hypothetical into the mix before we shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Just because if anybody's still listening to this, that they might be interested in this hypothetical.
Mm-hmm.
Hypothetically, maybe Lifetime is phasing out the series themselves, and we're going to, in 26, we're going to focus on the individual events.
Yeah, instead of making
Unbound
a series.
and Leadville and Big Sugar.
I think that would be a better move for them to put more purse money into individual events, and they would draw a bigger crowd. They would garner a lot more interest. But how many times has Kevin Lee turned down Lifetime's advances to purchase Midnight Massacre, Chainring Massacre, Red River Riot?
Lifetime has never reached out to me.
Yeah, and you'd tell them, go fuck yourself, wouldn't you?
I wouldn't use those words.
You would send him a cease and desist. Oh, shit. Let's go ride our bikes. The weather's too good.